Hey guys, Cody here from ZP Reviews, following up with you guys here on our next video. In this video, we're going to be going over two main themes, one being the review email templates that Drew and I provided to you guys. This one I don't think warranted its own video, so I just wanted to kind of quickly go over this, and then after that we're going to go over the financial tips section. So, all right, so let's get started here. So first thing that we did here is we personally use Feedback Wiz to do our follow-up emails with our Amazon customers. And so what we've done here is we pretty much have outlined, even with the exact Feedback Wiz type of structure, some sample emails that you can use to send to your customers to open dialogue with your customers, and then on top of that, obviously we want to cultivate some of those reviews, right? Because without reviews we have no social proof. And I'm sure if you could think about when you go to buy something on Amazon, if you see little to no reviews, you're thinking, well, I don't want to be the first person to give that a try. You want to see something that has 5 stars, 4.5. I mean, 4 minimum really at this point with how competitive that marketplace is. So either way, this is a great way to start to get some. So I actually also included this this little link right here. It's an emoji resource. So this is just me personally. I'll take you guys to it. But this just kind of shows you just some like fun emojis you can throw in to just kind of to pop out. I'm sure you probably think about how when you're getting emails, when you see an emoji, it catches your eye, and so it just kind of helps get that open rate up. So anyway, so with that being said, we just kind of quickly go through these 3 emails here. So it says, "Hi customer, first name, thank you for your recent purchase of your brand new X. I just wanted to let you know that your product has been shipped." And so if you kind of read through this, pretty much all we're saying here is we're just introducing ourselves a little bit. We're kind of just saying, hey, open discussion. We just want to let you know we got your order. Don't worry, good stuff's on the way. With the second email, we're kind of just following up here, and we're just saying, I just wanted to reach out to you to make sure your blah, blah, blah arrived recently. So this one we really like, and it's just kind of, it's a little silly, but I think what we're doing is here, right, is we're giving it just a little bit more of a unique message. So we talk about how we've been having issues with our packages getting there. Now you might think that's strange, but I think really what you're thinking about is your product stands out, which is extremely important, especially if you want somebody to take the time to review your product. So we always write, we want to be unique. What do they say? Good press or bad press is good press. Any type of attention that you can get, or anything that you can do to make your product unique is important. And so then after that, I'm just trying to see here. Yeah, there we go, sorry. And then we have the third one. Now this is where we kind of get into it, right? And we're saying, we reference email 2, and then we just kind of continue to go through kind of this call to action and asking the customer, hey, we want your honest feedback. Please, tell us if we're doing it right, if we're doing it wrong. And then we actually link our product, and we have some links here as well that work nicely. So again, just throwing that in there, and you also do want to have that link here to the brand site or your funnel, whichever you're using. And then again, a 4th email here. You can use this or you can not use it, but it's kind of like your last ditch effort to get that call to action out of the customer. And yeah, so obviously if you're using Feedback Wiz, this is really important because it allows you to automate this entire email chain with your customer. It's literally set it and forget it. Drew and I have used it since day one. So yeah, so we hope that you find this helpful. I really do believe that this will, if you even just start with these and then just totally change them as time goes on, I think this is a great base template for you to start. And so then with that being said, that moves us over here to probably my favorite section of the course, just because of my background. But yeah, so these are just some general financial advice for business owners. I tried to be as thoughtful as possible, without going crazy. And I think if you at least use these as starting points, when you're kind of thinking about your business and your financials, and kind of in the overall context, excuse me, of your business and the kind of the roadmap that we laid out, I think it'll be really helpful. So I'm not going to go through them in ridiculous amounts of detail, but we can kind of briefly touch on them and just give you some additional thought. So the first one is consider and plan for a bear market. Don't misinterpret this as a suggestion to have a scarcity mindset. Be aware that all markets have peaks and valleys, no matter how lucrative they are. So I think this is just so important. Even if you use all these tools and they're telling you that, you're going to have, the sales are up and, your niche is just, it's exploding with money. It's impossible, that you don't make 60-70% on your margin. That's great. But like anything, any market, and at any point in time in history, they all go through cycles. And so I would just caution anyone out there, don't be overly optimistic about your product or products. If your product is profitable, that's great. And if you found something that has high demand, low competition, that's even better. But the point being is always estimate for a conservative to bear market. Because if you do that and you plan and your product can make it in a bear market, you can stay afloat when things are really bad. When things are great, that means you are going to do great. So again, plan for those peaks and valleys and include them in your analysis before you spend $1. Number 2, I'm not going to read this one verbatim, but cash is your number one priority until reliable finance is obtained. I cannot stress this enough. So cash is king. Obviously, for a small business, you have to have cash. If you don't have cash, you don't pay your bills, and then bad stuff starts to happen. So when you're making your projections or you're trying to plan out kind of how much your inventory costs, or even just think about the monthly services that you're getting. So if you have Feedback Wiz, if you have Helium 10, if you have ClickFunnels, JungleScout, whatever, if you have these things, you need to have sufficient cash or credit available to you. But even with that, I mean, you don't really want a big credit card balance 2 months into your business being started with no cash to pay that credit card. So again, know your numbers. I know I mentioned that in a previous video, but know your numbers and know your cash and plan for it. So if you know that you need cash to put aside for your inventory, then maybe you might have to, subscribe to a service for 1 month, and then once you've gotten your value out of it, cancel it. Have as much cash handy as physically possible. Number 3 is hire a lawyer or accountant once you've stabilized. Yes. So I know we mentioned this already, but my background, I am a CPA. So I can say with absolute certainty that you should, in fact, have a CPA and or lawyer. But those are also things depending on the scale of your business that you need to consider when you want to time those purchases. So there's obviously tons of free resources online you can look up just about how to get started with certain things, like whether you should have an LLC or not, blah, blah, blah. But also for us, we use LegalZoom personally. Like that's what we started our business with, and we got, I think it's the Business Advantage package. I think it's like $300. I mentioned it in one of the YouTube videos that we did. But that's been incredibly helpful. We got unlimited consultations for that. I don't know if we have a link. I think Drew did put a link to it in this guide. But either way, at some point, once you have enough money, when key decisions are being made, I think it is very, very important that you have an advisor to help you with these topics. Because when you're talking about taxes and when you're talking about legal risk and the ability or litigation risk or whatever, when you're talking about these types of risks that exist, when you're talking big money here, I mean, having a screw up because you didn't know what you were doing and you just selected this or you just picked that, for no good reason, it can cost you a lot of money in the short term, medium term, and long term. So do your research. If you have a friend, ask them, that's licensed. But if not, then, definitely get one when you can. Number 4, consider partnering with someone if you don't have sufficient capital. You see this a lot in a lot of other types of businesses. So I would say definitely keep it in mind. I mean, you may not have somebody that you want to partner with. So if that's the case, then keep an eye out. You should never force a partnership. Drew and I probably should do a video on a partnership. I mean, we've known each other for over 2 decades, so that helps. We know each other very well. But if you think that you can't do it and you feel like you're just getting priced out because you don't have enough capital or whatever, consider partnering with people. The use of other people's money is very, very effective in getting through the gate. So again, I would recommend you considering it. Don't force it, but definitely don't leave it off the table. And then, repeating myself again, but it deserves it, know your numbers. You have started a business, or you're in the process of starting a business. Once you do this, you're going to have spent a decent amount of money to just even begin. And it really is just absolutely imperative. Drew and I don't want anybody to throw their money away. I'm sure all of you work very, very hard for your money. Drew and I did. And so with that being said, know your numbers. You should, fall asleep with your numbers, under your pillow every night. You really need to know them. If you don't know them, then learn them. Figure them out. It seems like a lot of work up front. Break it down into smaller pieces. That's really what we've done here, right? Is you go through all these different costs, all these different things, right? And it's just breaking down all of these things for you into more bite-sized pieces as opposed to starting from absolute scratch. So know them and stick to them. But all right, guys, I think we hit all the marks here. Again, thank you very much for sticking with us up to this point. Drew and I look forward to getting your feedback on the guide. We hope that it's been incredibly helpful, and I will see you in the next video. All right, guys, thanks.